There is a man in Africa whose influence refuses to disappear. A man who went from a small village to leading a nation. A man who won an election from prison. A man who became the first president of Ghana, a global voice for African unity, and later named the African Man of the Millennium. Many believe that leaders fade with time. This man didn't, because the ideas he started are still shaping Africa today. This is why Kwame Nkrumah never dies. And in this video, you'll discover fast African facts about him that many people don't know. Most people know Nkrumah as a president, but very few know where his story truly began. Kwame Nkrumah was born in a small village in the western region of Ghana. At the time, Ghana was not even Ghana yet. It was called the Gold Coast, under British colonial rule. Life was simple. Resources were limited. Opportunities were rare. But something about Nkrumah was different. He had a deep belief that Africa could govern itself, and that belief would eventually change history. Before leading Ghana, Nkrumah spent years studying abroad. He traveled to the United States and later to the United Kingdom. And here's a fast African fact many people don't know. While studying in America, Nkrumah worked multiple jobs just to survive. He worked in restaurants, struggled financially. Sometimes he barely had enough. But during this time, he was also studying political movements, civil rights, and freedom struggles around the world. That's where his ideas about African independence and unity began to grow stronger. He realized something powerful. Africa didn't just need independence. Africa needed confidence in itself. Now here is one of the most incredible moments in African political history. Nkrumah returned to the Gold Coast and began organizing people to demand independence. His message spread quickly, too quickly for the colonial government, so they arrested him. The man who would later lead Ghana was sitting in prison. But what happened next shocked the world. During the elections, Nkrumah ran for office from prison, and he won. Not just narrowly, he won overwhelmingly. The people had spoken, and soon after, he was released. This moment changed everything. It proved that leadership is not about power. It's about the trust of the people. In 1957, something historic happened. Ghana became the first sub-Saharan African country to gain independence from colonial rule. And Kwame Nkrumah stood at the center of that moment. But here's another fast African fact. Nkrumah didn't just see independence as a victory for Ghana. He believed it was the beginning of freedom for the entire continent. In his famous words, he made it clear, Ghana's independence would mean little unless it was linked to the total liberation of Africa. That vision made him different from many leaders at the time. He wasn't just thinking about one country, he was thinking about a whole continent. One of the biggest reasons Nkrumah's legacy continues today is because of his vision for African unity. He believed African countries should work together economically, politically, and socially. And here is something many people don't realize. Nkrumah helped inspire the creation of what later became the African Union. His ideas pushed leaders across Africa to think beyond borders. He imagined a united Africa that could stand strong globally. And today, many of those conversations still continue. That's why people say his ideas never died. Here is a fast African fact many viewers are hearing for the first time. Kwame Nkrumah once became a co-president of another African country. This happened when Ghana and Guinea formed a political union. Later, Mali joined as well. The idea was simple, but powerful. African countries supporting each other and moving toward unity. Even though the union didn't last long, it showed how serious Nkrumah was about his vision. He wasn't just talking about unity, he was trying to build it. Years after his leadership, something remarkable happened. Kwame Nkrumah was recognized globally as the African Man of the Millennium. Think about that. Out of all the leaders, thinkers, and revolutionaries in Africa's history, his impact stood out. Why? Because his ideas changed how Africans saw themselves. He helped Africans believe that leadership and progress were possible on their own terms, and belief is powerful. So why do people say Kwame Nkrumah never dies? It's not because of statues. It's not because of history books. It's because his ideas keep appearing again and again. Every time Africans talk about unity, every time young Africans believe in building their countries, every time the continent pushes forward, his influence shows up. That's the mark of a true historical figure, not just someone who ruled, but someone who changed thinking. There are a few powerful lessons from Nkrumah's journey. First lesson: your background does not limit your future. Came from a small village, yet influenced a continent. Second lesson: ideas can outlive power. Leadership fades, but ideas remain. Third lesson: sometimes the biggest change starts with one person who believes things can be different. And Nkrumah believed exactly that. History has many leaders, but only a few become symbols. Kwame Nkrumah became more than a president. He became a voice of possibility for Africa. And that is why, even decades later, his story still inspires millions. That is why many say Kwame Nkrumah never dies. If you enjoy learning fast African facts and powerful stories from Africa's history, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We share stories that many people were never taught. And if you learned something new today, comment below with Africa Rising. And don't forget to share this video with someone who loves African history, because Africa has stories the world still needs to hear.